Hi guys, first of all, hi. It's been like literally years since I've uploaded, so that's a thing. Sorry, like computer life things, but I have things to talk about today, and I want to start uploading again because I have thoughts and I want to get them out, and TikTok makes too short videos for me to talk about them in a reasonable, nice, flowy way. So here we go. This is going to be a start of a small series. Well, actually, maybe not a series because I don't have to make multiple parts on this thing. Yay, YouTube. But anyway, I want to talk about Digimon Frontier. It's been on my mind for a while, for like a couple hours, and whenever I go back to this series in my brain, like my brain goes to just the lost potential of it. I don't care about the background stuff, but like in terms of how it ended up, because it's how it ended up. But in a retrospective way, it's like, man, the show would have been way better with like if they'd done this, that, the other thing. So I want to give my perspective on it. Like I have gotten some of these opinions from Reddit because I'm like, man, they're right, fucking right, man. Um, so here we go. I want to like I think the biggest thing they could have done, at least one of the biggest things, is give Koichi more either like use his screen time better, I suppose. Like I think they should have one. I says there'd be a couple options for this, I suppose. They could have either introduced him like a little bit before they did, like Koichi, not Duskmon. Like have Koichi be introduced, like free him earlier, or set him up a little earlier, because they don't when they go into the dark area, which I think is what it's called, but I don't exactly remember. Um, there's not like we know that there's a mystery from the start. We know that there's a mystery involving Koji, even though he doesn't even know what it is. But um, Ifanimon, is it I think it's Fanimon. It's something Fanimon. What's shit? What is her name? Man, I can't remember. I know it'll come to me. It's coming to me in bits. But the angel of Digimon, who they free and rescue and all that jazz, and who calls them into the digital world, um, like he tells or she tells Koji, like your answers will come or something of that nature. Implying like, hey, on here in this journey, you'll find what you've been searching for, even though you don't know you've been looking for it. Um, but my biggest issue with that whole thing is like they don't really set it up enough. Like they do it one time and then they're just like, hey, we gotta go here to defeat this bad guy. And I think if I remember correctly, we do see Duskmon like in the background, but we don't like and I think we know from his perspective that there's that like he has a connection with Koji, but we don't get anything from Koji's side. And I want more of that. I want like there to be something that makes him like wonder, like before he meets Duskmon. I mean, but then I also want there, and this is the biggest part. I want there to be more interactions between the whole squad and Koichi, but especially with Koji after they defeat Cherubimon, because like it's totally fine that the team accepts him, just like they did with Kari in the original series. Like, yeah, like we don't know her very well, but she's a Digiescent, so she's with us. Like, she's cool. And then after they free Koji or Koichi, like it's kind of the same way, but with Kari, they bond with her a little bit. Like, there's even a whole episode where, and I love this episode, where Kari gets sick, and we see that we get this whole flashback with Tai where, he, like, Kari was sick, and he didn't pay attention and brought her outside because he wanted to play soccer, and she ended up collapsing and going to the fucking hospital. And, like, he still feels guilty about it. And obviously, we couldn't have anything like that with the brothers because they don't remember each other, but, like I want them to discuss more of their background because obviously they know their general background with like for background for just clarification, Koichi's mom, because Koji has a stepmom and I don't want to confuse the two, with Koichi's mom like working really hard to support them, but and Koji having a more like relaxed upbringing financially, but obviously not really relaxed socially because him and his dad don't get along. But I want them to discuss that more. I want them to like to talk about just their interests. Like I think it's kind of fan canon that Koichi likes books, like probably because one, they're cheap, but also, and you know, they can be super cheap if you get them used, but also you can go to the library, which is free, you know, which would be reasonable for someone of Koichi's, you know, financial status, like financial standing. Whereas, like, you know, we see that Koji has a guitar. We know he does kendo. Like, I want there to be a bit. I want there to be a bit where a little scene or something or an episode where, like, at the very least, Koji teaches Koichi a little bit of kendo, but he could probably teach the whole group, especially, like, you know, especially after the rest of the group, if they keep this. Like, if I would keep this, which I wouldn't. But but like I want Koji to teach the whole group a little bit of kendo just for self-defense, you know, like a fighting stance, or just how to use, you know, how to use the stick properly, cuz like we see Koji do that in I think episode 2 when he gets his beat or his spirit, like his first spirit. um and I want I want him to teach them that. Like he's presumably been doing it for a long time. Like that's so cool. You know, like I'd love that cuz like I love one of my favorite scenes I think in the entire franchise is when they're in, I think it's called the Village of Beginnings in Frontier, but when they're there and Koichi is holding two little babies, and he's like, you know, I think like this was probably how we were held when we were little babies. And Koji goes, "Oh yeah, I keep forgetting the two of us were together when we were born." Like that little realization for him of like, "Oh yeah, we weren't always separated, and we weren't always, you know, like lonely." Because you know, presumably, like we know Koji was, and so presumably. Koichi was as well. You know, because they would have had like subconscious memories, presumably, of each other. Because that can happen. That's a thing. And it would have been cool for them maybe to have a scene where like after that, you know, sometime after that, where they theorize like, you know, what like how do you think we interacted when we were small, you know, and like, you know, maybe arguing like who would have been the more assertive twin, you know, I don't know, something like you know, maybe a scene where they're all eating and Koichi talks about, you know, like, oh yeah, my mom makes this at home, but it's a bit different and it tastes really good, and maybe I can make it for you, or you can, you know, hopefully you can come over at, you know, once we're out of here, and like, or better yet for some more like emotional drama, because you know eventually Koichi learns that he might be dead, where like Koji says something of the sort, you know, it's like, you know, hey, you know, like Dad and I do this thing, maybe, you know, maybe like after we're like once we get home and you know once we've you know gotten through all our family drama, maybe you can come with Dad and I and do this thing, or you know Satomi and I and do this thing, and then you know and like Koichi's just like yeah maybe, you know, because like to him he thinks he's fucking dead, and you know and obviously Koji doesn't know that, and that could lead into their conversation maybe on the moon, where you know where Koji or where Koichi tells him that or something, you know, or where he alludes to needing to talk to him about something and then they get interrupted. I don't know, but I want more moments like that. I want like after Koichi's introduced, I want their relationship and Koichi's relationship with the rest of the group to be the sort of emotional crux of the series, because to me that was like that arc, just like the arc with Kari, is like was the most emotional arc of the original series. But God, that series had so many emotional arcs. I mean, I guess in terms of arc is the emotional arc, but I think in terms of scene, it would be, for me at least, when Angemon died or when he got reconfigured. Because man, like 7-year-old me was heartbroken. But anyway, that's off topic. What was I saying? Oh yeah. Um, you know, and like I said, like that, you know, that they spend a little bit of time like getting to know Kari, you know, even though like she didn't have like, you know, she had a brother who knew him, like, you know, I want that for the brothers. I want that for the twins. You know, I think they deserve better. And the other thing I want, which somebody brought up on Reddit, although I don't remember who, somebody mentioned that it was kind of shitty that Koichi had his spirits changed after they got purified. Because, like, the whole thing about darkness is that it can be used for evil, but it, it doesn't have to be. It can be good, like the night sky. It's darkness, but it has all the pretty stars in it, and they look really cool and pretty, and all that. Like it, and you can hide in it and be all stealthy like a ninja, things like that. And I also read that as like people may look scary on the outside, but they're not actually scary. And so it bothers me that, in retrospective, although it didn't bother me until a couple hours ago because I didn't think about it that way, that Koichi had his spirits just completely changed. Like, why would being altered change the spirit completely? Why not just make him evil? Like Dark Ring style, like that, that I feel like that'd be a way more interesting message. Like, I know the show is meant to sell toys and cards and shit. I get it. It's for merch, but I think story wise, it would have been way better for them to have for them to keep Duskmon and I think it's Loamon. No, is it Loamon? No, it's Velgamon. Velgamon. Like to keep them as experts, especially because like Koichi can fucking fly then, and like maybe it's an overpowered thing, but like maybe downplay his powers. Like maybe they're not as strong, or like the big which this is one of the fucking like craziest moves in the whole series, that I forget what it's called because like he only uses it once or twice I think, but the big ball like that like grabs the ground. Am I care that yeah, there we go. Like grabs the ground and just fucking like circles it and just fucking implodes it or explodes like what it surrounds. And like I remember Takuya having to like drag Koichi out of there, or Koji out of there, like both of them running for their fucking lives. Like maybe Koichi isn't like, maybe that costs some sort of like physical, like too much of a physical toll on him, because like it's kind of a thing in fantasy where like dark side is more powerful, like in raw power. But one, because good guys usually have a team of friends, and two, like when they're like super emotional or like by just working harder, they get stronger. And so it would be really cool if like if maybe some of the powers were locked away, or maybe Koichi just wouldn't use them because of how powerful they are and how much harm they could do, because he's such a gentle soul, like he like which is why like it's so interesting for him to be to be corrupted. And because like jealousy isn't this like a hard emotion, especially when you're like 12 and you just have your whole world fucking rocked, and you're like, what, you know, like, because what's interesting about the dynamic between the whole Minamoto and oh shit, what's his last name? Kimura, the Minamoto Kimura family, because they are two separate families now legally, is that like both of their parents are at fault. Like the dad's more at fault because he fucking lied, but the mom also just didn't tell her son. Like they just, like the fact that neither of them told their son that they had custody of, that their brother even fucking existed. Like what? like they both fucked up. you know? So like I like that a lot. I like the fact that both parents, like even though they don't mention it in series, I like that both parents are at fault, and maybe they can like actually, yeah, that would be a really interesting like emotional moment for both of them, because like you says, we learned that Koichi, or that Koji's dad lied, but like it's not something we see, or no, brain, we see that Koji's dad lied. I mean it is Koichi's dad, but not like socially, like they haven't met in like fucking 10 years probably. But anyway, we know that Mr. Minamoto lied to his son about it, but like we don't really see Koji dealing with that emotionally, like like we see him dealing with the man, I have a twin brother, but we don't really see him dealing with the my dad told me you're like our mom was dead and that he never told me you existed. And then like Koji could realize, or Koichi could realize, like, wait, my mom never told me you existed. Like, and like he seems very Koichi seems like somebody who very much idolizes his mom and cares for her very much. So to see her having done this to him and to his brother, like both of them, like it could leave just a little bit of resentment that like when they get home, both of them have to deal with both their parent, so to speak, the parent that raised them, and their opposite parent. And like it'd be like that sounds like I don't know if the latter part would be in the show, but like the whole realizing what their parents did, and how that affected them and hurt them would be a really interesting scene and dynamic. And like maybe the rest of the gang could like help them through that. Those who had more stable families, especially Takuya and Tommy who have brothers. Like that'd be really really interesting, and it would add more dynamics with the group, and more discussions and more emotional moments. Because the biggest thing I'm disliking about the 2020 series, and what I don't like about the final arc of Frontier, is that it has a lot of fighting. Like I mean, granted, the remake a lot more, it's all fighting and it makes me sad. Um but um but uh, but I think Frontier does that a lot as well. Like it does have a quite a bit more like set, like quite a bit more like calm moments. But I think it could have dealt with more. Like it's just just to have an episode after they defeat Duskmon, and like how like having a scene, or like having moments off and on where like Koji and Koichi deal with the crazy family dynamics of their family that they've just realized, like their parents' wrongdoings and stuff, and that'd be really cool. But anyway, on to part two. Um, Everything else. I think, like, obviously I think everybody said this, but I I want more development from the rest of the characters too, cuz like I remember them dealing with Tommy's like courage a lot. Like he just kind of kept relearning the same lesson, and like come on writers, you can do better than that. So I want more of that. Um but I think what would be a really interesting, like just in general, but I think the biggest thing that I would like, that I think would fix that problem with all of the characters, with all of their emotional development, is thank you for this person from Reddit who wrote this down somewhere, but having the spirits really be sentient, or like having some connection with their person. Because like we hear their voices in at the end when the kids are going back to the real world, because Lawamon tells Koji that Koichi's not dead, but that they have to get there really quickly because he's dying. And so I want but I want more of that. I want more of them having not being able to talk to them at will a la Avatar state, but having some sort of like just feeling, or just being able to talk to them once in a while. Like for example, if instead of just walking into their spirits, usually they like each of them had like a feeling of like, hey, my like for example Takuya, they arrive in the place where Takuya's spirit is. If like right when he arrives there, or like soon after, he gets this like like a message of like, like I'm here, or where are you, or something. And then and like as like there's a radius for this message, so like as they get into a new area, the person whose spirit it is feels this connection of like, or like maybe they're a bit off course, and I think it's, yeah, Zoe's is in the forest, and maybe they're a bit off course, but in the forest where her spirit is, and she's like, guy, so there's like an intersection. She's like, wait, guys, like like Takuya, you remember that feeling you had? And he's like, yeah, like I'm having it. And I think we have to go this way. And they're like, okay, and then they go that way. I feel like that would make it a lot less just, hey, this happened, of how they got their spirits. Like that'd be super interesting. I'd really enjoy that. And like maybe the spirits can teach them, a little bit of their powers. Like maybe they don't know how to use their powers until they talk to their spirit. Like maybe right after getting the spirit, they each have a conversation, like, or just like an information upload sort of. But hey, it would go with the data theme of Digimon as a whole. But having this like information upload to their brains of who, of the moves and that kind of thing of the spirit, and just like the spirit generally introducing themselves to the person. It's like, hey, I'm lending you my abilities because we're bonded because spirit stuff, unclear spirit stuff. Um, like here are my powers, or like as they're fighting, you hear this conversation between the spirit that happened in a blink of an eye to the person. Say, in this case, let's go back to Takuya. Yeah, Takuya gets the spirit of fire, and then it goes into the fight. But like as he's using the move, like as he's attacking, like you get little either just straight up flashbacks, like slight flashbacks, or just like voiceover with Takuya and the spirit of like, I am the spirit of blah blah blah, and you are my chosen human, and like something. I don't know. I want the spirits to have character, and that would be so cool. Going back to Koichi, for him, because like, you know. Maybe he can't hear his spirit's voice, maybe, or maybe like there's something off about it that like that he doesn't recognize because it's corrupted, because like he's in spirit form all the time until he's freed. So like maybe like I'm not exactly sure, like I'm working a hair on the fly, but maybe there's some sort of like barrier between him and being able to talk to his spirit, and like that like maybe Cherubiumon's blocking it, and or maybe the corruption, and like maybe after he's freed, and in this case, oh no, I've lost the name, Duskmon, like Duskmon is purified, like then maybe maybe when Koichi's still sitting alone on the train, he finally has an interaction. Or no, wait, that's before that. But I don't know. Maybe sometime on the train, like after it, Koichi finally has an interaction with Duskmon, and like Duskmon apologizes for like not being strong enough to fight off the corruption initially, because the spirit gets corrupted, and then it's given to a person, or well, like the last person, which is Koichi, but it was given Digimon before that, I think. But maybe Duskmon apologizes for like not being strong enough to fight off the corrupted data in him, and like maybe give some advice. Like maybe Loamon and Duskamon are actually brothers, like as spirits, because it would make sense if their holders are brothers, that they're also brothers, and so like you're like, oh yeah, maybe Duskamon and Loamon like help Koichi and Koji through their like awkward stage, or just like getting to know each other stage, because like they probably would have been together their whole lives, the spirits anyway, and like so like that'd be another source of, and probably a better source, because like I kind of picture them as like spiritual twins, Loamon and Duskamon, just because of their holders, and plus like Patamon says light and dark are brothers, and so like it'd be super cool if if Loamon and Duskmon had like a brotherly dynamic, like a more mature one, of course, because they're adults and they're warriors and such, whereas Koichi and Koji are 12 or 11, I forget. I think they're 11 in the Japanese, 12 in the English, I forget. But like that would be really interesting, and like maybe you can have like dream sequences with the spirits, and and like that, like that's how you get the lore, like maybe because to be honest, like after like you should never need a character for comic relief. Like that shouldn't be their only purpose, and that's kind of what why am I struggling with names today? But that's kind of like what Nemon and is it Nemon? Yeah, and Nemon and Pokemon. Yeah, Pokemon. I think. Yeah, like do, like they're cute. Don't get me wrong, they're adorable, but in this case, like if we have the spirits and they're like actually sentient, they could like, there could be an episode once in a while, like, in big moments where all the spirits, like when the kids are all asleep, they have a like a unifying dream of information in the world. Because actually, like the original kids, like from Adventure One, it wasn't a dream, but like they got, a like basic information dump of the backstory of like how the Digimon, like how their partners got where they were when they met them, and like their crests and tags and all, like, and all, like how they got separated from the tags and crests, and then from Gatomon and all that stuff. Like it could be like that, but maybe, an actual dream and not like actually floating around and you can sort of virtual flashback, I guess. I don't know. But that would be really cool, and it would allow for more time with the characters, which would give the writers more time for like giving them more interactions that aren't, stale jokes. Like I want more details on their lives. I want them to grow more subtly. Like I want it. I also want the world's transitioning time. I also want the world to be more consistent. I was like, I didn't notice this, but yeah, like the world is pretty inconsistent. Like like I don't understand Trailmon. I like them as a like navigational tool, but that's kind of all they are, and it kind of never made sense to me that like they're data, but there's a Trailmon grave, or like a Trailmon graveyard. Like even as a kid, I'm like, huh? Like there's something, like I don't know what's off about it, but there's something off about it, and it's weird. Like as a kid, and now I understand why, but I didn't when I was 10. Um, why is my nose so itchy today? But yeah, I want like like I don't think the Trailmon graveyard is necessary, which is a small gripe. I think they should disappear like all the other Digimon who, even the robot ones who, who die. Um, like I don't know, like is there anything else you guys can think of? Cause like that's my rant. I wonder how long I've gone. Wow, half an hour. Jeez. Okay, this is taking up a lot of my time. This is fun. Um, but yeah, those are my biggest things about Digimon Frontier. Like, I'd love to hear your guys' feedback. Not that we can fix it, but it's fun to speculate and like learn from the mistakes of shows, So, yeah. Sorry. Hey, happy to be back. I might be posting some more of these because, unfortunately, I don't really have the technology to make video, like to make what's the word I'm looking for? Make like AMVs and stuff anymore because my laptop's kind of a piece of shit. Plus, I have a Mac now, so that's a thing. Um, I'd love to. I still have ideas for that. But also, if you guys if you guys know of anywhere I can get clips from like other than DVDs, because I don't know where. Because like I'd rather not buy DVDs just to get clips for videos. But I also don't know where to get them from anywhere else that are good quality. So I don't know how to make like music videos and stuff, but also like I don't really have that many ideas for them anymore. I would really like to do more video essays like this. I don't know if they'll be fancy like Hello Future Me, who I love. Hi Tim, you're great. You write great shit. But I just want to sit down and talk and maybe, get some feedback from you guys and talk about things. I do have a TikTok now under the same username, so if you guys want to follow me there for less, like shorter little clips and discussions of things, that'd be cool. I'm also going to post, like, whenever I post a video here, I'm going to post a little thing on there with a link to my, to the newest video. Because a lot of times like this, it's too damn long to put on TikTok. But I also want to, like, I don't have that many followers, but I love them all. I don't have that many followers on TikTok, but, I want them to know, like, hey, I have a YouTube channel, and I talked about this that wouldn't have fit on TikTok, and I want you to know about it, because maybe you can, join my group and, enjoy more content by me and talk about cool things and stuff. So, yeah, it's good to be back. Hi, guys. I'm now 26, and I feel old. Bye.